I asked my mother-in-law for $800 using my husband's phone. 3 seconds later, she sent me $8,000 and exposed a secret that shattered everything I believed. I never imagined that one impulsive text message would destroy 3 years of assumptions in less than 5 seconds. I wasn't proud of what I did. The moment I pressed send, regret hit me instantly, but it was already too late. Using my husband's phone, I sent a message to his mother. Mom, we're struggling a little this month. Could you lend us $800? We'll pay you back as soon as we can. I wasn't trying to steal from her. I simply wanted the answer to one question that had haunted me since the day I married her son. Did she secretly hate me? 3 seconds later, my phone buzzed. $8,000 has been deposited into your account. I stared at the screen, convinced there had to be a mistake. Then another message appeared. Dear Violet, have you finally decided to ask for something you actually need? My heart stopped. Before I could even process those words, another text arrived. The apartment worth $520,000 has been in your name since before the wedding. The deed is in the second drawer of the home office. Please stop living as if you're counting every penny. The room started spinning. At that exact moment, my husband, Miles, was happily singing in the shower, completely unaware that my entire world had just fallen apart. 3 years of misunderstanding. For 3 years, I believed my mother-in-law, Evelyn, simply didn't like me. She was never openly rude. She never insulted me. But she never showed warmth either. Every birthday, she mailed me a plain envelope containing exactly $200. No handwritten note. No hugs. No love you. Nothing except a polite greeting and cash. My own mother often told me, she'll never see you as good enough for her son. I always defended Evelyn. Yet deep inside, I feared my mother might be right. After all, I came from an ordinary family. My father had spent decades driving buses. My mother made a living altering clothes for neighbors. Miles, on the other hand, came from a wealthy, respected family. Yet he never acted rich. He drove an old used car. He dressed simply. He worked what seemed like an average job. He told me he earned about $1,800 a month. That was one of the reasons I fell in love with him. He seemed humble, honest, grounded. Or so I believed. Miles explained that the mortgage was enormous. Every month, $900 disappeared from our joint account. I never questioned it. Instead, I adjusted my entire life around that payment. I canceled vacations, delayed doctor's appointments, bought the cheapest groceries, ignored things I desperately needed. For 3 years, I lived with constant anxiety, convinced we were barely staying afloat. Then everything changed one Saturday afternoon. Miles' sister proudly announced in the family group chat that her mother-in-law had surprised her husband with a $45,000 luxury car. Everyone congratulated her. I smiled. But inside, I felt invisible. Why did everyone else seem so loved while I always felt like the outsider? At that moment, Miles had left his phone on the kitchen table, unlocked, within reach. Without thinking, I opened his conversation with Evelyn and sent the message asking for $800. That single decision changed everything. $8,000. Then Evelyn replied again. Violet, sweetheart, there's no need to pretend you're Miles. I know it's you. My face went completely pale. Another message appeared. I've waited 3 years for you to ask me for something. Then came the sentence that shattered everything. The apartment is yours. It's been legally registered in your name since 2 weeks before your wedding. Please stop pretending you're struggling financially. Just then, Miles walked out of the bathroom. He looked at his phone, then at me. The smile disappeared from his face. I slowly raised the phone. Explain.
The house of lies collapses. He sat down like a man waiting for his sentence. Then the truth came pouring out. There had never been a mortgage, no bank loan, no debt. Evelyn had bought the apartment outright with cash before we were married. I could barely breathe. So where did the $900 go every month? I asked. He lowered his eyes. Into a savings account. In whose name? He whispered. Yours. I stared at him in disbelief. For 3 years I had sacrificed everything. I skipped vacations, ignored medical care, lived in fear of debt. Meanwhile, thousands of dollars had quietly accumulated in an account under my own name without my knowledge. His greatest secret. Then Miles confessed everything. Years before we met, he had fallen deeply in love with a woman who cared only about his family's fortune. She loved the wealth, the family name, the social status, not him. When that relationship ended, he made himself a promise. The next woman he loved would never know he was wealthy until he knew she loved him for who he truly was. When we met, he hid everything: the family businesses, the investments, the properties, the fortune. At first, he planned to tell me. Then weeks became months, months became years. Eventually, the lie became too large to admit. "When did you know you could trust me?" I asked quietly. "Before we got married," he answered without hesitation. "Then why didn't you tell me?" He looked down. "Because I was afraid. Because I was afraid. Because I was afraid." The family businesses, the property did not offer Hannibal my ram to US Evost brother men and wasi. The evening, Evelyn sent me a voice message. Her voice was calm, soft, almost nervous. "Violet, I wasn't raised in a family that hugged or talked about feelings." She paused before continuing. "I watched you from a distance." She described seeing me leaving work exhausted, carrying grocery bags alone, carefully counting every dollar before making a purchase. "I admired you," she said. I couldn't stop crying. Then came the sentence that broke me completely. "I just wanted to make sure that no matter what happened in your life, you would always have a place to call home." "Finally," she whispered, "if I ever made you feel unwanted, I'm truly sorry." Then she ended with words I will never forget. "Please, never believe I ever looked down on you." A new beginning. The next morning, I drove to Evelyn's house carrying the blue folder. She opened the door looking anxious, almost expecting me to be angry. I held up the folder. "You never had to do all of this." She lowered her head. "I'm sorry if the way I cared for you made you feel small." I couldn't hold back anymore. I stepped forward and hugged her. At first, she froze. Then she wrapped her arms around me and held on tightly. She cried. I cried with her. 3 years of misunderstanding disappeared on that doorstep. That day, I learned something I will carry with me forever. Some people say, "I love you" every single day. Others never say the words at all. Instead, they spend years quietly building a safety net beneath your feet, making sure you'll never fall. And sometimes, the greatest acts of love are the ones that happen silently, in the shadows, asking for neither gratitude nor recognition.
If this story stayed with you, if it touched something deep inside you, please leave a like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for being here.